Welcome to the Fantasy Football Profit Podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprofit.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Profit Podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, joined as always by Jeff Torrey. Today we're talking Week 15 in the NFL. We're already in Week 15, so some of you are going to be in championship games this week. Others, it'll be the semifinals most likely. Some leagues, it's still actually, I've seen some leagues where they have 2-week first round and a 2-week second round. So it's all, everyone has different settings, but some people are in championships this week. Jeff has a championship game this week in our Dynasty League. So that'll be interesting. And Jeff, we actually had a question in regards to that. So asking for you specifically. This came in from Walsh JA6. He says, this one is for Jeff. Any tips for building a foundation in Dynasty for long-term success? Because what you're looking at title number 3 this year, possibly in our Dynasty League.
Yeah, it'll be 3 and 5. Yeah, I know. First of all, this is from a friend, which is funny. I think he's actually just trying to nitpick at Craig. He hates talking about titles that he is not in this year. Yeah, I have done very well in our Dynasty League. It's competitive, but obviously everyone knows with Dynasty, it's definitely for longer stretches of time. But I have been able to. This would be 3 titles in 5 years, and is every other so far that I would have won. I'm in the finals. I'm projected to win, but we will find out. I'm playing a very good team. It's a good question, though, so I'm going to go into it anyway. But I think that there's a couple of different options you can go, and I would like to hear your take on it, especially now that we've gone through it and we're years and years into one.
Right.
But the initial draft is extremely important. Not the only way you're going to build your team, but definitely starts you off on one of 2 paths. I feel like there's 3 variations, but the 2 that we talk about are definitely, do you go young and the guys that are going to be there for a very long time, or do you go older and try to win now? At this particular one, I did go young, but obviously we've been in it for so many years that that is not the end all be all. Like AJ Green he was like my top pick back in the day when he was in his prime, and he's still on my team, but obviously he's not even in my starting lineup anymore. And wide receivers last a lot longer than running backs, so you can take that to the bank. And last year actually gave me the opportunity to rebuild, because sometimes you're going to have bad luck. And last year, for an example, I had very bad luck. Injuries cost me big time. I had Andrew Luck as a QB and Roethlisberger. They were my top 2. Obviously, Luck retired. Roethlisberger got hurt the entire year. AJ Green was out. I mean, it went down the line. So I was terrible last year. And because of that, I got the 3rd overall pick in the draft. And because I hit on him, I got Dobbins. And then second round, I got Justin Jefferson, which, either way you cut it. I could have been wrong, but I happened to be very right, especially on Justin Jefferson. He's in my starting lineup this year. And now I am stocked for, coming years. I think Dobbins will be a very good player in years to come as well. So you have to just gain players one at a time if that is what it takes, right? And I would like to hear, because you've actually traded a bit more in the last couple of years than I have. I would like to know what you look for in a trade. And for you, I mean, you've drafted very well for wide receivers, right? So you had a ton of draft capital.
So many wide receivers.
Yeah.
And I probably took a lot.
How did you collect all the wide receivers in the first place? Because that would be a great way to start a rebuild anyway.
A lot of it was I first started off getting like mid-round picks in the first round, and it seemed like the wide receivers fell there. I was missing out on those top running backs because of it. So I was grouping up wide receivers. And then I also picked up Tyreek Hill off the waiver wire a few years ago, which was a nice snag.
And I know people probably are like, that is impossible. But back in the day,
it was
like an undrafted player.
If you listen to the very first podcast of this show, like I was talking about Tyreek Hill as a waiver wire ad, like the very first episodes we ever did of this podcast 4 years ago. So it was once a thing.
And to be fair, I have Elvin Kamara on my team. And that was also – he was an unproven guy coming out of Tennessee. Right. We talked about him on the show. I drafted him, and the rest is history kind of deal.
Yeah. I've done a lot of those. I've got just mid-round wide receivers. Like I picked Michael Thomas. I picked Calvin Ridley. I picked Devontae Parker. I picked all like those kind of guys. It worked out. I picked I should look at my team here. I traded away Terry McLaurin, and I traded away A.J. Brown. Like I've had so many guys. Like And I got to the point where I couldn't. Yeah, I have all this talent, but I couldn't use them all. It just was impossible. So I finally got my, the wide receivers were the first thing I built, and those seemed to last long term, right? They're a lot longer term than the running backs. So I built it off the receivers, then got the running backs later. Like I did have the number 1 pick this year. I kind of wish I did go with Jonathan Taylor, like I really in my mind thought was right, but I did go Clyde Edwards-Helaire. We talked about this in the preseason.
We did. I did not believe, and nothing against Helaire. He's very good, but when we talked about, especially in a dynasty, we said, hey, Jonathan Taylor and Dobbins are not bad picks. I do not think that Helaire is the clear-cut number 1. This year, he was probably the smartest pick, but and it shows already. Jonathan Taylor might be the guy that helps people in the playoffs rather than Helaire.
But I also was able to pick DeAndre Swift this year. I had multiple picks in the first round, so I got DeAndre Swift. I picked Miles Sanders last year. So I've kind of built those running backs too, which I'll show you my wide receivers, my current receivers: Michael Thomas, Calvin Ridley, Tyreek Hill, DJ Moore, Chris Godwin, Devontae Parker. And that's after trading Terry McLaurin and A.J. Brown. So
So I mean, okay.
I got Deshaun Watson. I got Lamar Jackson. I got Dak Prescott. I got Mike Gesicki. I got T.J. Hawkinson. It's all wonderful. But I'm not in the playoffs. I'm not in the playoffs, and I'm going to win the toilet bowl. I'm going to win the number 1 pick. And guess what? I traded it away, so I don't have it. God, I'm going to win something. I'm going to.
Here's a better question. You're incredibly loaded at wide receiver. And already you've traded a couple wide receivers, and who did you trade for?
Let's not talk about
it. It did not work out, right?
Well, I got Lamar.
What are you talking about? It didn't work out.
I mean, it looks good, right? He did good this past week. It's going to be fine. It was more of I knew, like, if you put the trade up at the time, I probably would be the loser of the trade, but that was not what I was looking for. I have so many players to play. I have so many wide receivers. They don't do me any good on my bench. So
first of all, I disagree entirely that in the way that you premise that, right? Because first of all, let me get our mascot off of the table. Because first of all, Lamar before this week, everyone was incredibly down on, right? But you're also looking at players I am not going to play. And yes, in Dynasty especially, they have draft capital, so you could trade them for other players. Yep. But if you say, hey, I'm weak at QB, a lot of people are not going to let you trade for Mahomes. They're not going to let you trade for a young, Russell Wilson, a young stud that they can have for many, many years because QBs last forever.
Yep.
So you went after a QB that has tremendous upside. He just came off from being like the MVP of fantasy last year.
Yep.
And I feel like I'm giving you so much kudos right now, and I hate it. But it is a great freaking trade because
it can work.
I'm going to take that high-level guy, and I'm not you can't even play those guys.
In reality, Michael Thomas, Tyreek Hill, Calvin Ridley are going to be my starting wide receivers, with Chris Godwin maybe thrown in there, and DJ Moore, Devontae.
That's such bull. The fact that Godwin is like, maybe he'll play.
I might put him at flex.
Yeah.
Maybe
I have a very good team, and I don't have that depth.
Except, I probably don't. Yeah, I probably don't even put him at flex. But, yeah, so but I missed the playoffs. I missed the playoffs by game. Like, what happens in everything, if anybody's been paying attention to me this year, it's all going down.
Well, running backs was the Achilles heel for a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
And even if you had, like, even Barkley, this is going towards.
I forgot. I also drafted Antonio Gibson this past year. So.
Oh, yeah, you did. You had a lot of draft picks.
So I drafted Edwards-Helaire, DeAndre Swift, and the Antonio Gibson.
So how do you feel about draft picks? So, like, for ours, we have, what is it? Do we have 5 rounds, 6 rounds, 5 rounds?
5 rounds, yeah.
We have 5 rounds, and everyone knows that if you have a pick in if you have a top 7 pick, you're going to get a guy that is going to go to a position where he's probably going to play immediately, but it doesn't mean he's going to be good. If you have a top 3 pick, you're probably getting someone that is going to be an immediate impact. But if you're trading for draft picks in order to rebuild your team, how do you value them? Is there a cutoff that, hey, at this point, I'm not going to get anything that was really worth it? Or if you're completely rebuilding, like when did Antonio Gibson actually, because that was that second round?
I got him second or third. I might got him third round.
He might have been third round. So is there any cutoff for draft picks and how you would go about that?
Not really. It just depends. I guess it depends on what kind of team I have. Like a couple of years back, I traded away a bunch of players for draft picks. And I was actually kind of just looking for I want first and second rounders. I don't really want anything other than first and second rounder, to be honest. But I also do believe sometimes, I think in Dynasty, I kind of feel like draft picks are overvalued in a way. I really, truly do. Like first round picks sometimes to me almost overvalued, where I have no hesitation to trade away my first round picks once I've got a team that's a contender to get better pieces. Because I don't, if I'm a decent team who's going to be a back end of the first round type thing, I trade that pick away a lot of times if I'm a contender. I don't
100%, because I think and I agree with you. I think you can get more for saying here's a first round draft pick to someone who can probably use it better than you. Because at one point you have to stop stocking the bench and you have to just have starters, right? So you have to go for people that are going to play. On top of that, like I said, if you're in the top 3 picks, you're probably getting a really someone that can actually add to your team if you're already good. If you're in the back end, if I get pick even 7, I'm trying to think what that would be this year. I mean, it's probably maybe you would have gotten Lamb, maybe I don't know, Jerry Jeudy. Like that would have been a good scenario, right?
Well, yeah.
Even those guys are not playing on your championship team more than likely. I mean, maybe you throw them in there every once in a while, but not really. Like Jerry Jeudy definitely won at this point. So it just goes to show. But I do have to say, if you're depending on how we have like a crazy system where it's like we don't want people to tank, so we have a toilet bowl. And you actually have to win that, so it doesn't necessarily benefit.
That's where the trade the draft picks when you think you're good backfires and you miss the playoffs by a game and you roll through the first round of the toilet bowl and you look like you're going to win the toilet bowl and you could have the number 1 pick. And you don't get it.
I do have to say, like if you have the number 1 overall pick, I mean usually you're guaranteed a stud running back. Because everyone knows that one guy, like, what does it – I mean, every year it's been that way, right? You had
well, last year was the problem. It was Edwards-Helaire got there because of the situation. And that, of course, I have to have the number 1 pick that year. Like, right.
Usually it's a guaranteed, right?
Well,
like
I got I have the list here. I have our list of our number 1 draft pick list over the years. So 2019, it was Josh Jacobs. 2018 was Saquon. 2017 was Leonard Fournette. 2016 was Zeke. And 2015 was Todd Gurley. So there's some hits in there. Fournette was good for a little bit. And Josh Jacobs,
all of them are hits for sure. Fournette would be the most disappointing one, but obviously that has a lot to do with the team and his injury concerns early on in his career. Other than that, you're extremely happy to have any of those guys. The rough part about that too is like you kind of need a stud running back. Usually this year might be the odd one out, but usually you need one to at least keep yourself, good on running back and then fill in the other one. But they also run a lot shorter as far as career goes. So you don't want to start building your team necessarily with running back, because you could run into the place where it's like, I'm trying to think of even Barkley, even if you got him immediately and now you're finally here with injuries, all of a sudden you're kind of like, where do I go from here? Do I trade him because no one really knows what he's going to look like next year because I can get a lot of value? Do I hold on because he should still be elite? It opens that kind of door. And we see guys fall off extremely quickly at the running back position and out of nowhere too.
Oh yeah. That happens very often actually. So like even this week, Zeke's going to be maybe he hits 20th in the ranks. Like it happens quick.
Yeah.
But all right, there's some dynasty talk for you. Hey, that's what you'll hear more from us and that kind of stuff when we're in the off season and these next couple of weeks. It's just I enjoy that. I enjoy dynasty stuff.
I do too. We kind of So what is question 2?
Here we go. This is from Mr. David Lawrence, one of our good listeners. PPR flex. Who are you going to put in there? James Conner, Marvin Jones, Corey Davis, Michael Pittman. Well, early on in the year, David had a question for us, and it was a Corey Davis question. We told him to play Corey Davis, and Corey Davis gave us zeros. So I don't know if I want to do that to him for a second time. Well,
I know, but they're about to go against Detroit.
I don't know if I can do that to him again. Oh man, I can't. I think it has to be. Oh crap! It doesn't have to be Corey Davis, doesn't it? I don't feel it's Corey Davis or it's either Corey Davis or it's James Conner. James Conner obviously did nothing this past week. Man, I don't know if I can do this to him twice and tell him Corey Davis and have that just backfire.
I know. This one is really tough. Who is it? Pittman. I'm not playing him. Who was the other one?
The other one was Marvin Jones, and I'm not going with Marvin Jones. it's Corey Davis or it's James Conner. And they're honestly close. Conner going against Cincinnati and Corey Davis going against Detroit. I'd probably go James Conner.
I honestly. Do too. And as long as he's healthy, I would go Conner. He's been he's had a rough go of it the past 3 weeks, but I'd probably go Conner.
Yeah, me too.
I think unbelievably, I can't believe I'm saying it's a little bit safer, but it
right. It feels like it. I know Corey Davis has the upside though. That's what I mean. He really does.
Especially after going against Detroit.
Yeah. Mary Whiskey. He has 3 running backs. He says, I hate all of my options at this point. And here they are. It's Todd Gurley, Darrell Henderson, Zach Moss. I think you have to go Gurley, and I hate it too. I hate it. I absolutely hate that. I don't think there's a good option here. I think you do have to go Gurley, though, and hope he somehow turns this just whatever's going on with him around. I think hopefully, right? It's ugly. It's ugly. I'd rather go if you could go get like Jeff Wilson. I'd rather have Jeff Wilson, honestly, at this point off the waivers. I'm not even joking. I might rather have Jeff Wilson or DeAndre Washington with Miami. I don't love those either, but I almost would feel more comfortable than Gurley at this point. But,
yeah, I kind of get the Jeff Wilson point. I mean, you have at least a goal line back. Gurley, I would go Gurley. Henderson, man. You just don't know.
Akers is really starting to take that backfield fine.
Yeah, the last 2 weeks, Henderson has gotten hardly any carries, really to no fault of his own. I mean,
if Zach Moss does something this week, it'll be the first time he's ever done anything. So
yeah, it's definitely not Zach Moss. I would go Gurley, and you just pray that he bounces back from the pitiful last few weeks that they've had.
Right. Let's see here. Who do we got? Beat It Danny has James Robinson or Kenyon Drake, half-point PPR flex. And I think you just go right back to James Robinson.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to.
Even when we thought he didn't have a good game in standard, he's still at 8.3. Yep. I'll take that as a bad outing.
All right, this next question comes in from, let's see here. This is from Steven. It just says Sanders or Allen Robinson, so I'm not sure. Is this a flex question? You're looking at Miles Sanders or Allen Robinson? Because obviously if it's Emmanuel Sanders, it's easily Allen Robinson.
I assume Miles.
So it has to be Miles Sanders. You got Allen Robinson going against Minnesota, and what you got Miles Sanders is going against, let me see here, somebody, if I can find it, he's going against Arizona. So would you go Miles Sanders against Arizona, Allen Robinson against whoever I said he was playing against Minnesota? Oh, that's tough.
That one is tough.
I usually lean running back, but I kind of like what Trubisky and Robinson were doing last week.
I did too.
And Sanders had, 2 touchdowns and 100 and some yards, but a lot of it off that 80-plus yarder, and I don't trust that team. But Jalen Hurts adds a different element, though, where I've always liked the running backs with the running quarterback. It just does something. I'd probably go Miles Sanders and play safer. Keep the running back going. Yeah, I'd probably go running back. Go Miles Sanders.
Oof, I don't know. This one is very difficult for me because I love Miles Sanders and I love to see what he was able to do last week. But 2 touchdowns kind of out of nowhere when the defense doesn't know what to plan for because they've never seen the quarterback play. All of a sudden they've seen a game. They know he's going to run a lot. I do think that changes that dynamic, right? They might stack the box a little more. Allen Robinson, I mean, I go Allen Robinson actually. Yep. Minnesota has been pitiful against the wide receivers. They try to get him the ball an incredible amount. And even when he's not on the same page as the QB, which probably was every other game, he has a good chance of catching a touchdown, and he probably goes for, 70 yards. That seems what it's going to be. I don't know. I like what I saw last week. I think he's a little bit safer as a floor, and I'm going to say that he has a better opportunity of getting back in the end zone because Minnesota has been bad against the pass. That is a toss-up, but I would go Allen Robinson. I totally get where you're coming from, Miles, though. I think that is a risk-reward type of thing. But if Minnesota wasn't so bad against the pass, I probably would lean your way.
Next up, we got T. Durden. Start 3 of these 4 wide receivers. Start 3 of them.
Okay.
Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs, Allen Robinson, Justin Jefferson. So Diggs is obviously a sure thing.
Yep.
I think.
Well, what was the first one?
Cooper Kupp. I think Cooper
I
Kupp's
go
the guy
last
on the
three.
bench. Yeah, I think Kupp's on the bench and it's Diggs, Robinson, Jefferson.
Yeah.
Has to be. All right, Dr. Gauthier. Sit here. 2 quarterback league. Start 2 quarterbacks. Sit 1. Ryan Tannehill, Taysom Hill, Jalen Hurts. Oh, Taysom Hill, Ryan Tannehill, Jalen Hurts. So Jalen Hurts going against Arizona, Tannehill's going against the Lions, and Taysom Hill against Kansas City.
Okay. So, hold it. Who is going against KC?
Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill. So I don't know if you agree with me, but I think one of them is Tannehill.
Yes, Tannehill's in for sure. Yes. Yeah. So it comes down to Taysom and Jalen Hurts, which is a crazy thing. Never thought I'd be talking about here.
No, both of them crazy upside, but crazy dangerous.
I feel like I feel more comfortable with Taysom because I've seen it for multiple weeks. And Jalen Hurts is still he's had one really good week. But I don't know if I can trust that yet. Taysom Hill has done enough for me. I think I'll go take Tannehill and Hill.
I do too. And
yeah.
my hope, if he goes with Taysom Hill and Tannehill, my hope is that KC does what they do and they put a lot of points up on the board, and then Taysom Hill is forced to run around and do some crazy stuff and have to try to score. You want him trying to run around. That is a good game for him to do it. Doesn't mean it's going to work out that way. You can never predict it, but I think he has a better shot than Jalen.
Yep. Then he had one more question for us. He says, if Golladay is active this week, do you start him over Deontay Johnson? But this would be probably without Matthew Stafford. I think Stafford's not going to play this week. I don't expect him to play. Probably Chase Daniel. So would you start a Kenny Golladay coming back from injury with Chase Daniel as his quarterback over Deontay Johnson, who has kind of struggled with some drops too lately? But I think I go Deontay Johnson, actually. I don't think I'd feel comfortable with Golladay in that situation. I don't think he's going to play. It just doesn't feel like it's been trending that way at all with Golladay. Just doesn't seem to be going that way at all.
No, it's been strange.
It has been odd.
The fact that, I mean, if you're going to bring him back, why not bring him back when they actually still had a
shot?
Now
they're out of it. There's no Stafford. I mean, do you bring him back right now? I don't trust it. I just go Deontay Johnson.
I agree. I would go Deontay. Even if he is back, I highly doubt they're going to use him in a high volume situation, and I don't know if Chase Daniels is going to have the same connection as Stafford and him, because my big draw towards him was the ability to catch touchdowns. Stafford has a big arm and he looks for him. So I go Johnson.
Next question's up from Martin. So quarterback options here. He gets to start 1. Justin Herbert, Phillip Rivers, Derek Carr. I think you go Herbert there. I don't think Carr and Rivers aren't bad options, I don't feel like, this week. But you're going to go Herbert. I'll just go Herbert. Don't question it, really. Another question he had, Kareem Hunt or Miles Sanders?
Ooh.
Kareem Hunt's good. I think I have to go, though. I think I have to go Miles Sanders here. I'm going to go. It's Sanders is going against Arizona and Kareem Hunt's against the Giants.
I agree. And don't let – first of all, Baltimore versus the Browns.
Yeah, that was a
phenomenal game to watch. It was really crazy. But the truth about the matter is they put up, 80, what was it, 42 to – they put 40, up 80 some
47, 42. Yeah.
Okay. So they put up 42 points, and Hunt did have a good game, but the 3 games before that, he hasn't been in double digits in standard scoring. And even in this game, he only had 6 rushes and he caught 6 balls for 77 yards and a touchdown, which was by far his biggest receiving day. I just don't have the faith in Hunt, even if they're going against a bad team. Even more so if they're going against a bad team. I would rather have Miles Sanders, who's kind of guaranteed those carries.
And then his final question was Eric Ibron or Dallas Goddard this week. I'm going to say Ibron.
Really?
Yeah. I don't trust Goddard with Hurts as a thrower. And Ibron gets to go against Cincinnati. So I'll go Ibron.
No, this one hurts my soul. Yeah, I actually agree with you. I can't believe it, but yeah, I would go Ibron this week.
Yeah, I think it's the play. Yep. All right. Next question's Bretty Spaghetti. He has a few questions for us. First one was, are you staying with Goddard this week, or are you looking at streamers? So I'll say I think I'm okay with starting Goddard if that's what you have. I would just go with it. I don't think there's a streamer I'd rather start over Goddard, unless it's Eric Ebron.
I was gonna say it very well could be.
That's about the only one. A couple more questions here. Kiki QT or Christian Kirk for you here. Kiki QT, Christian Kirk. I'm going to go Kiki QT. There's no one to throw the ball to there.
Yeah, he's done very well in the last few games, and you're still going to have Fuller suspended, right? So yeah, I would lean toward Kiki.
Here we go. We're going a little deeper here on this start. Rank these 3 wide receivers in order: Rashard Higgins, Mike Williams, Michael Pittman.
Wow.
Higgins, Pittman, Williams. So I would probably I'm going to rank Pittman number 1 of this group. I'd go Pittman number 1. I'm going to go Pittman, Higgins, Williams. Pittman, Higgins, Williams. Yeah. That's where I'm going with it.
All right. I do agree with you with the Pittman one. I'm trying to think. I obviously I have a huge I don't
like any of the options, but yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, and I'm trying to like kind of play it out in my head a little bit more, especially with Higgins. You don't really know how much he's actually going to get the nod. Williams is. I think I go Pittman, Williams, Higgins for me. Once again, Pittman would be both of our number 1. So that's.
And one final question. He says, pick 2 of these 3: David Montgomery, Raheem Mostert, and it says or A. Jones. Which, I mean, if it's Aaron Jones, that's an obvious pick. So I feel like maybe he's really asking that. Well, let's even go Ronald Jones. How about that? Because if it's Aaron Jones, you pick Aaron Jones all day.
You only get to pick 1 though?
2. You pick 2.
Oh, well, okay.
So then it would be Aaron Jones if he's actually the pick. It's Aaron Jones and it's David Montgomery all day, right? I mean, there wouldn't be a question at all. But
no, I mean, I think it would have been earlier in the season.
Right now, it's just not.
Right now it'd be Montgomery.
Well, let's say it's Ronald Jones. Let's say it's Ronald Jones instead. So you're really picking between then you'd still go Montgomery as your number 1. Then you'd have to pick Mostert or Ronald Jones as your number 2. Ronald Jones would play against Atlanta, and Mostert's playing against Dallas. Jones looked pretty good. He had some kind of injury. It doesn't look like it was like a pinky injury. I'm going to pull this up here quick. I don't think that's something that's going to affect him, obviously, if it's a pinky. But I would think you'd go Ronald Jones unless you're slightly worried about he's getting a pin put in his finger. That's what it is.
Is it? Do you know what hand it is?
A fractured pinky. Just as a fractured.
Is it on his ball carrying hand or no?
It is. Let me see here. If it says.
And I realize he can probably carry it with either hand. Still.
It does not tell me. So that's the interesting part. Is he going to play? If he doesn't play, you don't have to worry about it. So I just don't know if a pinky's going to. I mean, I guess it depends on how he can secure the ball. That's interesting. I think I'd roll with it. If he's playing, I think he's fine. So I'd go Ronald Jones.
I actually go Mostert, man.
Yeah, you would be.
I think it's very close, but I think he looked good enough. And Dallas has been horrendous. 49ers will want to go for it. He's gonna be. I like Mostert a little bit more.
All right. Final questions of the night from Brother Coffee Bean. He likes to end the show here. He says, with the Dolphins' defense being the way that it is, and a bad performance for Cam Newton on Thursday Night Football, he says, I feel like he has Alex Smith. I feel like dropping Alex Smith to get Gardner Minshew to play over Newton. Or should I not do that? Cam Newton, Gardner Minshew, who's back in our lives now. So Cam Newton's playing against Miami. Gardner Minshew's playing against Baltimore. The matchups suck for both of them. I think I just start Cam, be honest. I think I just would start Cam. But I know Baltimore just gave up a lot of points. But I think Jacksonville's not that. I could see Jacksonville just getting shut down completely by this.
Yeah, I feel like that game was very different.
Yeah, I'd just go Cam and not feel good about it, but I'd do it.
I feel terrible about it, but I'm with you. Miami's I still go with you. 2 out of the last 3 games have been horrendous, like so bad for Cam. But the other games, he's 25 and 21. I don't know what to make of it. I don't know. I definitely don't trust Minshew though. So I roll with Cam, but I hate myself for it. Is there another streaming option? I guess that would be the question. And maybe he doesn't have.
I don't know.
Available.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if Trubisky's still out there, right? I mean, if no one picked up Jalen Hurts, those kind of options.
You would rather have either of those?
Yes, I would definitely.
Okay. I think that's a major point.
Yep.
You're okay. Yeah.
Yep. And then final question here. He says, should I play Cooper Kupp over Calvin Ridley since he's playing the Bucs this weekend? And I'll say no.
No, I stick with Ridley. He's that good.
Yep. But all right, that's all the questions I have for today. I did, Jeff, just the Dynasty Talk. Maybe you want to go look up our first ever Dynasty draft, our initial draft. You had the number 2 pick, and you picked AJ Green, number 2 overall.
So, maybe he'll retire on my team. That would be a new thing.
There you go. And then your next picks were Keenan Allen and Andrew Luck.
Still on my team and should still be on my team.
Yep. And then you pick.
I respect him for retiring early, but that one hurt.
Then you pick Gronk in the 4th.
Good for many years.
And then you pick Carlos Hyde in the 5th. How you feel about that one?
Well, at the time he was a rookie. Like it was a good pick for like 3-4 years. Yeah, I looked like a genius for a little bit.
And then
did I get Kelsey in that, or did I draft him after? Because I had Kelsey and Gronk.
Let's see here.
Both when they were doing well.
You might have. I picked Randall Cobb in the 4th round, and I picked Cordell Patterson in the 5th round.
Cordell Patterson, man.
In the 5th round.
He's still playing. That's crazy. He found a niche.
Right. And you did. You picked Travis Kelce in round 21.
Yeah. So
round 21. And you picked Allen Robinson in round 20.
Dude, I still have so many of these players, I'm realizing.
you made some,
still playing.
You made some picks there, man. Wow.
Yeah.
You had some very solid picks as I'm picking Dwayne Bowe and EJ Manuel.
Dwayne Bowe, though, he was a little bit of an
I will say I picked Devontae Adams in round 15. Is he on my team? No, I did. I cut him.
Did you trade him or cut him?
I cut him.
That's hilarious, man.
Oh, I cut him.
It shows you how long ago we did this draft, too.
I drafted Johnny Manziel and Colin Kaepernick.
Dude, I feel like the funny thing about the QB situation is we act just like NFL teams where we say we draft them and we just say we'll give them a couple of years if they don't work out, whatever, because you can't get them after that.
I mean, Jeff, you had some solid picks. You want to hear my picks? This is bad.
I would love to, yeah.
So I picked Calvin Johnson to start it off. Like he lasted. I mean,
it was at the end of his career, but no one can fault you for that one.
Then I picked Doug Martin.
Was that right after his big year, though?
Yeah, probably. Randall Cobb, Arian Foster. Okay, I might have got a year or two. Then Cordero. Oh God, this is where it gets ugly for a minute.
That is bad.
Cordero Patterson, Bishop Sankey, Shane Vereen.
Shane Vereen too.
Brandon Cooks. That was okay.
Yeah.
Jeremy Maclin, Justin Hunter. If you remember the wide receiver, Justin Hunter from Tennessee.
Not really. Because I know he was tall.
Yeah. I picked Chris Johnson, the New York Jets. Chris Johnson.
You're like, I'm using the rest of on the downslope. I'll take him.
Colin Kaepernick. I picked Jordan Reed, Tavon Austin, Johnny Manziel, then Devontae Adams, Danny Woodhead, Dwayne Bowe, EJ Manuel, Antonio Gates.
Johnny Manziel was in our original draft?
Yeah, crazy, right?
Has it really been that long?
Yeah, it has.
Oh, Johnny.
Austin Safarian Jenkins. And then I got Justin Tucker. So
still on your team, probably?
No, I got rid of
it. Of course. Even the kickers aren't safe.
That was a terrible draft. Oh my God! How did I made the playoffs the first 3 years in that league. How? that was ugly.
I do have to say the big one, like I had a gaping hole in, as I do that symbol, I had a gaping hole on my team at quarterback because of everything. And Roethlisberger, luckily he came back, but I was scrambling to get anything. Like I drafted Tannehill because of my love for Tannehill. I drafted him in our redraft aspect because not just rookies, because we can keep 18, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But and him, I traded for Baker Mayfield as in like I traded nothing for him.
Right.
Like maybe he'll come back around, which
That's right.
up and down this year. Traded for him. And I also picked up Locke and God, I feel like I had one other guy on my back. So I just had all these QBs in the beginning of the year, just like one of you work. One of you work.
I'm going to say this makes me want to start a Dynasty League next year. So I think we're going to have a listener Dynasty League.
I'd be into that.
I want to do a startup Dynasty draft. That's fun. Maybe I can do better than what I did at that time. So it was ugly. But all right, that'll do it for today. We'll be back Sunday night. We'll talk some Week 15. Talk to you guys then.